Well, it's a honor to be with you this morning. My name is Mukei. I'm one of the senior students here at the Village Zendo, and I also co-lead the People of Color Sitting Group. And a few members of the People of Color Sitting Group are with us this morning. So thank you guys for being here with me and sending me love. Thank you. I'm sure all of you are sending me love too, so I don't want to be discriminatory, but thank you very much for this time. I was in a conversation with some friends recently, and we were talking about practice and things like that. And someone had said something about being, what does a good Buddhist look like? And that question stuck with me for quite some time. What does a good Buddhist look like? So I did some research and I looked around, and my research took me to the Lotus Sutra. The Lotus Sutra is one of the most influential and venerated of Buddhist texts. And it's a text that's just filled with parables and allegories. And one of the central themes of the sutra is that all beings have the potential to become Buddha. There are numerous figures in the sutra who receive predictions of future Buddhahood. In chapter 10 of the sutra, the Buddha points out that all sorts of people will become Buddhas, including monks, nuns, lay people, and even non-human beings. Another theme is the Buddha achieved Buddhahood eons ago, but is still present in the world to help teach all beings through the Dharma. Using what's called upaya or skillful means that are suitable to the particular context can a person achieve Buddhahood. The Buddha also left some embodiments of himself, and those embodiments are called bodhisattvas. And those are the ones who postponed their Buddhahood to help all sentient beings. But my research took me to chapter 12 of the sutra, and it took me to a character by the name of Devadetta, who was a disciple of the Buddha and a cousin of the Buddha. And out of jealousy, he plotted to kill the Buddha, and he made a number of attempts to do so. One of his attempts was the Buddha was walking across the mountain slopes, and he tried to push a boulder to crush him, but it didn't work. His next attempt was to get an elephant drunk, and while the Buddha was out on alms begging, he set the elephant against the Buddha, but by the power of the Buddha's loving kindness, the elephant was stopped and became sober. Devadetta attempted also to create a schism within the ranks of the discipleship. And by order of the Buddha, he sent Shariputra to talk to the monks about what was going on. Devadetta thought that Shariputra was joining his ranks and invited him to give a talk. At that point, Devadetta felt that, well, since Shariputra is here, I'm going to take a nap. Only did he realize that Shariputra convinced the monks to return to the discipleship. The story then goes on that Devadetta became ill, and that in this process of being ill, he was dying, and that the earth consumed him, and he went to the lowest level of hell, only eons later to become a Buddha. In telling his experience with Devadetta, the Buddha told that in earlier life, that in an earlier life, that he, the Buddha, was a king. And he had a teacher, a seer, who was Devadetta. Quote, all because Devadetta was a good friend to me, I was able to become a fully endowed with the 6 paramitas: pity, compassion, joy, and indifference. The fact that I have attained impartial and correct enlightenment can save living beings. On a broad scale, it is all due to Devadetta, who was a good friend. End quote. What does a good Buddhist look like? Again, I did some more research and it led me to the Gateless Barrier. Keichu makes carts. Keichu was a cart maker who designed a cart with 100 spokes for the Emperor of China. And the koan goes like this. Master Katan said to the monk, Keichu made a cart whose wheels had 100 spokes. Take both the front and rear parts away and remove the axle, then what will it be? What will it be? We are plagued in the media by taking and using certain things to make us look good. A car that can park itself, a cream that smooths away the wrinkles on your arms and on your face, a pill that can correct ED in men, a drink that can remove your body fat. What does good look like? We all have a definition of what a good Buddhist looks like. Probably it's easier to describe what a bad Buddhist looks like. It is easier to create a narrative about a person without really getting to know them. Here in New York City, when I walk the streets and I see a big man of color coming my way, dressed in jeans with sneakers and a hoodie, walking slowly, I'm assuming he's up to no good. For all I may know, this man is coming home from work, or he was up all night with a sick parent or child, or he's depressed. But already in my narrative, I've othered him. And we do it with other people, don't we? If I see a woman dressed like a man, I make an assumption about her sexuality. For all I may know, this is a way for her to cope with not being harassed. I don't know. I'm not saying that, given in certain situations, we should abandon our discernment about a person. But when it comes down, we don't know much about the people around us. We all have different ornaments on our persons. But when they're taken away, what do we have? This practice helps us to look at our adornments and to see the adornments of others. This practice helps, I would like to believe, helps us to see that beneath all of us, we breathe the same air. Bernie Glassman once said, your exhale becomes my inhale, my exhale becomes your inhale. We are all carrying something, but it looks different. A follower of the way learns to understand that gradually, like the Buddha with Devadetta, all sorts of people can become the Buddhas, including hardened criminals. Or as the Buddha tells us, all it takes is a good friend. I wanted just to end my talk with a brief quote from Thich Nhat Hanh, who said, continue practicing until you see yourself in the cruelest person on earth, in the child starving, in the political prisoner. Practice until you recognize yourself in everyone in the supermarket, on the street corner, in a concentration camp, on a leaf, and in a dewdrop. Meditate until you see yourself in a speck of dust in a distant galaxy. See and listen with the whole of your being.